Dexter Morgan is back, in a new miniseries, though with a different name and identity. After almost everyone hated the original show's finale, what will the follow-up show do to atone for it? And how will it fare on its own? Hi there, it's Micha. Join me for a bit and you will find out more. I assume if you watch a review for the new show, you have seen the old one. If not, be advised that there will be spoilers for the original run of Dexter. Spoiler for the new show will only be shared in the spoiler zone at the end of the video, with an appropriate warning of course. Okay, let's get into it. When we last saw Dexter in 2013, he had left his son with his girlfriend Hannah, believing that everyone he loves would eventually die if he sticks around. Case in point, his sister just died by the hand of one of Dexter's targets. So he takes her body, lays her to rest at sea, heads with his boat into a storm and is presumed dead after the wreckage is found. Though we see him in the last scene of a show working at a lumber mill in Oregon under an assumed name. The new series, Dexter New Blood, picks up 10 years later. Dexter is now called Jim Lindsay. Quite obvious a play on the name of the author of the book series, Jeff Lindsay. He lives in New York, the state of, in the fictional small town of Iron Lake. Working in a sporting goods store, he is well known and liked in town.
Morning, Jimmy.
What's up, Jimbo?
Hey, Mr. Lindsay.
Morning, Zach. Becca.
Mr. Lindsay.
Scott.
Lindsay.
He successfully kept his dark passenger at bay, being kill-free for 10 years. Though his tendencies are far from asleep. Where in the past the ghost of his adoptive father appeared as his voice of reason, it is now his sister Deb who haunts him. Things only become complicated when Dexter, or Jim, notices that there seems to be a serial killer around who does his dirty deeds for decades, with no one paying attention aside from the local sheriff.
I'm gonna need you to step out of the vehicle, sir.
Who happens to be Jim's girlfriend. An accidental run-in with another killer has his dark passenger once again unleashed. And then there is
Harrison.
Dexter's son, who managed to find him against all odds after finding a letter from Dexter to Hannah in her estate, as she died years ago from cancer, while his son was going through foster care. With the main killer escalating, endangering the people around town, especially young ones like Harrison, Dexter is back to his old tricks. And he also notices that his son may have more in common with his old man as Dexter could have ever expected. Or exactly as he always expected. Let's stop the synopsis here to keep it short and spoiler free, as this is all pretty much laid out over the first 2 or 3 chapters of this 10 episode miniseries. I have to admit, I was really skeptical going into this show, as I loved most of the original series, but loathed the end, and this is why. Over the original 8-season run, there were some ups and downs, especially in the later seasons. But the last one really went crazy. We were all thrilled to see what would happen if Deborah, his adoptive sister, would find out about him and the work he did under their father's supervision. They actually handled that not that bad, but they also thought it would be a good idea to have her fall in love with him. What was that? They were not related by blood, sure, but they were raised together. That was so creepy and unwarranted, and took the last piece of innocence out of the show's relationships. Then she even dies without any actual reason. Being shot by one of his adversaries, she seems to survive at first, and then dies from a blood clot due to post-surgical complications. Why did he take her body out to sea? Why was the storm the worst CGI effect I saw in years? Why? At least they didn't kill him off, though no one was particularly keen of seeing a continuation after this send-off. The new show then did the best thing they could do, reinventing Dexter by cutting off all the ties to the previous show. At least that is what one thought at first. I could appreciate the new setup and was, after a bit of a pushback, willing to embrace this new story.
Have you learned nothing?
What spoiled it for me though was then bringing in Deb as his mental guide, taking the place of his father, previously played by James Remar, who seems to be too old now to convincingly reprise this role. It is not that I didn't like Deb or Jennifer Carpenter's acting, quite the contrary, but her character being back reminded me every time of that shitty finale and the worst decisions they made back then, while I actively tried to forget those things. Same with bringing in one of the old show's leads in a cameo, which was meant to help the story I guess, but also had the same effect. The show would have been better served by keeping out all elements of the previous series.
My mom was killed by a serial killer.
You don't remember anything about it?
No.
The only clever idea there, to which I was not opposed, was bringing in his now almost adult son, who suffered through similar trauma as Dexter and may have a dark passenger of his own. As we only saw him as a baby before, this felt like a new and fresh character, which didn't remind us of the previous series. There are of course other detractors at play, like why would the so methodical Dexter get involved with the sheriff? Sure, it gives him access to confident info, but that info he supposedly doesn't need anymore. That way it was just the worst idea to keep it low profile. And that same Dexter really didn't keep tabs on his son, especially as he was worried his son may turn out like him. He only learned about Hannah's death from his boy, after he searched his father for quite some time.
What are you doing?
Are you Dexter Morgan? It's me, your son.
I don't buy that either, but it is still in the realm of things you are willing to suspend your belief around, so you can enjoy the show.
Whoa! Easy there.
What is the problem?
I kind of have a thing about blood.
Overall, the show worked well enough to get me excited about the character again, especially due to the strong cast surrounding Dexter/Jim, with Clancy Brown being a standout as usual. They took the opportunity to partially create something new while, in my opinion, also kept too much from before. At least they gave the series and character new life and allowed to amend the original ending a bit. The end of this miniseries is not stellar either, but at least they didn't botch it as much as they did it in the original run. I am rating the new iteration with 7 out of 10 points overall, while some single episodes definitely scored higher. The end also detracted a bit from the final score. Stay tuned if you like to hear more about the ending, major spoilers ahead though. If you don't want to get spoiled but enjoyed the video so far, please like it now before you leave. And if you are no subscriber yet, maybe consider to change that. If you don't mind spoilers or have already watched the show, please follow me into the spoiler zone. So to keep it short, Dexter dies. You have heard correctly. After trying to teach his son the way he was taught by Harry, he did some missteps, most prominently killing the innocent deputy, a person his son Harrison was very much fond of. In a moment of clarity, Dexter asks his son to shoot him so he can live a normal life, while he was stating to us,
I've never felt love. Real love. Until now.
the idea apparently being that Dexter was wrong to teach him to kill instead of not to kill, and to give him legally a clean start, as this act could showcase the kid did not agree with the way of his father, killing him to stop him. His sacrifice shall free his son. Well, I am not a psychiatrist, but I don't think that you can keep someone from following their darker nature by pushing them to kill you. And I also don't think that killing your own father has a freeing effect on you. The end basically just looked for a way to kill the character off in a way that seems to be selfless. Which might have been the intention, but will more than likely only create a trauma in the kid for years to come. If the plan is to have the show return with the kid as a killer going forward, this all would appear even stupider. But I guess at least they don't actually seem to plan that.
Sometimes feels good to be bad.
Not sure what the perfect end would have been, but this wasn't it. Have you seen the show too? What were your thoughts? Let me know in the comments. So much for now, see you next time and thanks for watching.